That's Goonie, and she's crazy. My name is Jesse, and I found this. That drawer is super loud. This drawer has battle damage. This sticker completely defeats me. Here's a wad of earwax or something. I really like the look of these drawer pulls, but I have to clean them up because some of them have rust. I think I can use sandpaper, but I just keep sanding my fingertips. And then I gotta paint them right away. I love this gold spray paint, but the trick is to not make it drip, which I always do. This drawer has a chunk missing out the face, and the layers are separating, so I gotta fix it with some glue. I'm just using a scrap piece of wood here from a previous project. I use a block of wood and a brick. Gravity is my clamp. So I smooth it out with a sander, but I should have just cut out a block because I assume that glue can hold this on, and you'll see later. This is the top of the dresser. The damage went a little deeper than the veneer. I don't think I've ever done a repair like this before. This project ends up being a real roller coaster, and you're on this journey with me. I'll deal with the shape of this patch later. Another brick gravity clamp. This project was sponsored in part by Move Mountain View. This is an organization that provides safe parking for unhoused people. According to their website, in 2019, a quarter of unhoused people in Santa Clara County were living in their cars. So this organization provides people in that situation with safe places to park overnight, along with several other services. Visit their website, see how you can get involved. So the paint stripper couldn't get all done, so now I gotta try the sander. That's some beige paint, a primer, a finish, and then the veneer, and I gotta land in the veneer. I got this pull saw on Amazon a couple years ago. I was actually looking up ways to sharpen my hand saws, but it looked very difficult and I didn't own the tool that could do it. So this was cheaper. I'm just gonna fill in the little gaps here with some sawdust and wood glue. Other people mix these together like in a bowl or something. I just do it on the piece here. I don't know why I do that. Maybe it's because I wouldn't know how much to mix together, so I just pour it on the piece I'm working with. I don't know. Now that the patch is all set, I gotta clean up this dusty top. And then I realized this veneer has mirrored grain. I don't think I've ever worked with veneer this nice before. And I already sanded through the veneer on this edge the first time I cleaned it up with the sander. Normally people don't paint over nice veneer. So it's like, surprise, it's nice veneer. Surprise, you already ruined it. I'm just squaring up this curved skirt in the front here. I've heard that's what people are doing now, and I don't know if I actually like the way it came out. I'm using a really old jigsaw that I found in a foreclosed house a long time ago. And now I'm just gonna scuff sand the entire dresser. I think that giant staple looking thing is a drawer stop. Later on it starts scraping the bottom of the drawer, so I end up removing it. There are a few small holes here on the bottom, so I gotta fill them up with glue and sawdust. Now, with a folded up piece of sandpaper, I gotta get into so many crevices. Wood glue normally takes about 30 minutes to dry. I gave this thing about 3 days because it just didn't look right. Because I clearly did this wrong. So that was very frustrating. I ended up just gluing it back on and letting it sit for a couple days, and then it stayed that time. This is some sweet veneer work right here, but the inside is way nasty, so I gotta fill it up with sawdust. When I first got this dresser, I wanted to paint a cool design on the drawers and use the dresser in my house. But after seeing the veneer, I changed my mind. This drawer has some pretty good veneer too. This drawer has a lot of damage. Maybe that's why they painted the dresser, because I don't feel like fixing this veneer either. I really like the way this veneer looks. I wish I had tried to fix it properly. Here's that little block that I had done wrong, but it ended up kind of working out anyway. I've never done this before, and I don't think I'll ever do it like this again. Now I'm just going to cover up the little gaps with sawdust and glue. This was the drawer that was really loud. It looks like part of the drawer that holds the bottom in place broke out, so then they just put nails in to hold it in place, and it just scrapes and doesn't slide straight. I've never had to do this kind of repair before, so we'll see how it goes. These pieces of wood were just slats from a bed, and I use them for scrap wood. I'm going to use my table saw here, and I have to change the height of the blade, but I have a difficult time doing that because I broke the handle when I transported this thing in my van. So I'm cutting a notch in this wood here, but they call it a rabbet, but it's spelled rabbet. And you're supposed to use a special wide blade for this, and that's called a dado blade, but it's spelled like dado, and I didn't have one at the time, so I just take multiple passes. This edge here was pretty straight. It just had some splinters I wanted to clean up with the sander. And I somehow cut it to be just the right size, and I use glue and nails to fasten it in place. And now the drawer should slide well, and the bottom should stay connected to the drawer. So for little holes in the veneer, I was just putting glue and sawdust, and that came out okay. But I probably should have tried patching it with veneer. I didn't really know how it would turn out. And I was almost done with this drawer when I did this. That really sucks. So then I patched that up with sawdust and glue and moved on to the next drawer, which has even uglier patches. There was just a lot of damage to the two bottom drawers, so I didn't know how I wanted to repair it. I'm planning on painting the body of this dresser, but I wanted to stain the top, and I didn't want to drip any stain onto the body and then have to paint over that later because that could cause problems. And all I had was special walnut. So I should match the drawer faces to the top of the dresser, and we'll see if the wood glue and sawdust can stain. The two top drawers came out looking pretty good. We'll see how the two beat up bottom drawers come out. So I really don't like the way the stain looks on all those patches I made. Originally, I was just going to paint these drawer faces, so my quick solution is to just paint over these blemishes now. I really like the way this dark brown looks. It's going to look good with paint that I chose, but you really should not paint over stain like that. It's too oily. So let's see how this turns out. I've got these little triangles that kind of match the angle of the veneer. It should look pretty good. I came up with a cool looking pattern, and I plan to cover most of the two drawers. Whenever I paint something, I have to go over it before it dries to make the brush strokes go the same direction. I couldn't find any footage of myself pulling up this tape, and I think it's because I deleted it, because I got angry. The tape kept pulling up the paint. I think I tried fixing it a few times and it just kept happening. So then I just started sanding it to paint over that, and that helped, but it took me a while to start doing that. Like, I had to redo this so many times and do all kinds of little touch-ups. It was pretty frustrating, and I wish I had done this differently. And we'll see if this pays off in the end. Because this is so difficult, I end up modifying my design to have a lot less of these triangles. Every time I paint something, it feels like I pull up some other paint. There's some primer caught in this deep scratch, and since I couldn't get it clean, I just painted over it, and I think it looks fine. I'll use this bar of beeswax to make the drawer slide better. When I was a kid, my skater friends used to use wax to grind the curb, so logically, it should work for this too. Normally, on stained wood, I would use oil-based polyurethane, but the drawer faces have stain and paint, and oil-based polyurethane changes the color of paint, and I need these to match the drawers, ergo I'm using water-based polyurethane on the top of the dresser. And because it's mostly clear, it looks like I'm just pretending to paint on this dresser right here. I'm really almost done with this drawer face. This is one of my favorite colors. Back in 2000, Photoshop had these lines that you could drag across your graphic as like a guide ruler, and it was this shade of blue and I loved it. And now it's part of my project. tried to make the pattern of the triangles look a little random. The drawer pulls were missing a couple screws, so I have to use some of these shorter screws that I had from a different project, and I have to bore out the hole a little bit so the screw head sinks into the wood a little. And then Goonie just loses her mind here for a minute. She uses vine whip on the tripod. The drawers slide a lot better now they have wax, and the broken one is fixed. It was quite a journey, but I like the way this dresser turned out. It has a lot of personality. And when I went to sell it, nobody wanted to buy it. The only person that messaged me told me that I should keep it, which is really weird advice to give to a stranger. And yes, we did end up keeping it. And we really like it.